Sorry guys, I'm immensely sick right now, but I can still make content for you. You know I never miss an upload. Anyways, White opens with, I'm not trying to defend anyone, but you pointing this out is pretty lame. Is he supposed to stop making content because he isn't getting 100,000 plus views? Do you have better viewership? Question mark. White's actually making decent points about not shitting on creators for low numbers. Like me, I barely get 3 or 4 a video. Like damn, everyone starts somewhere and not everyone can be Mr. Beast pulling 500 million views. White's calling out the, you criticize yet you participate in society, great move. Black responds with, no, he's supposed to stop focusing on other people and focus on himself, big guy, attempting to clarify their position while throwing in a condescending big guy. Black's trying to make a point about self-improvement, but the passive-aggressive tone counters it. The advice isn't terrible, but the delivery is questionable. Inaccuracy. White fires back with, well, it's content that he thought his viewers would want. It's his channel, he puts in the time and effort to edit videos. Meanwhile, you're sitting here critiquing his viewership, little guy. Perfect mirror of Black's opening. White's defending creators while also using Black's own opening against him by hitting him with the little guy. The response is high elo level defense. Excellent move. Black tries the classic retreat. YK what? You're right bro, my bad. I should have known not to argue with an anime PFP guy. Weak. Black realized they were losing the argument, so they pivoted to personal attacks about profile pictures. This is like losing a chess match then complaining about your opponent's text chess shirt. When you can't win with logic, attack the person. Classic internet loser behavior and a blunder. White lands a solid hit with, took you an hour to come up with that, question mark, calling out the delayed response time. White's highlighting that Black needs an hour to think up a profile picture insult, which is genuinely pathetic. Good observation, but it's not that serious. White slipped up and took it too seriously, miss. Black gets defensive, nah, I just don't spend my life on Twitter threads. Piz, go be fat somewhere else, bro. Black's claiming they have a life while simultaneously engaging in the thread and calling out random body shaming. The Piz typo while trying to be insulting is embarrassing. Also, just calling someone fat out of nowhere shows that they're grasping at straws. Blunder. White defends themselves by sending the picture and saying, far from fat, boy. Direct response to the body shaming. White's not backing down from the personal attacks. Good defensive move. Also showing proof that they are jacked is unnecessary but really shoves your enemy deeper into getting cornered. Best move. Black then makes it weird. Why you sending me shirtless pics bro, crying face emoji, who you proving yourself to? Black is now trying to make White look like a creep. The random crying emoji in the middle suggests either a mental breakdown or he's seething beet red right now. This is a weak attempt to shame someone for defending themselves against obvious body shaming. Mistake. White explains the obvious. You legit just called me fat, so I showed you I'm not. You're such a clown, I swear. Perfectly reasonable explanation. Black called them fat, White provided evidence to prove him wrong, now Black's acting like that's weird. White's pointing out the logic behind him sending out those pictures. Good move. Next, White opens with, this morning at 7-Eleven, I saw a lizard next to a coffee maker and the cashier said, no worries, that's just Marvin, he likes the smell. White's sharing what's honestly a wholesome ass story about a convenience store pet lizard. The fact that they named him Marvin and he just chills by the coffee is genuinely adorable. I wish my local gas station had a mascot lizard instead of the weird dude who always asks if I can help him in the men's bathroom in exchange for $10. It's really not worth it, I've only gotten like 150 bucks off of him so far. Book move. Black responds with, oh no, exclamation point. Can you DM us with the store location you visited so we can check in on Marvin, question mark, thank you. Of course corporate will try to ruin the store mascot and have my boy Marvin slimed. They better not touch Marvin or else. Marvin is probably the only reason that store is still functioning. Blunder. If you care so much about health and hygiene, you wouldn't be trying to grab coffee from a 7-Eleven. White delivers the perfect counter with, no way, I'm not gonna narc on my buddy. White just hit Black with the loyalty gambit. White saw right through Black's corporate bullshit and said, absolutely not, I'm not selling out Marvin. White met a lizard for 30 seconds and is absolutely ready to take a bullet for him, and I am too. Trophy move. Next, White opens with Kim K's state mid as hell, IDK how she got famous off that shit. Bro really just dropped a whole ass VOD review on some old celebrity footage like he's got nothing better to do. Who the f sits around critiquing this stuff? Touch grass maybe? The fact that this launched a whole empire off mid content is honestly wild though. Book move for the random take. Black hits back with, Ray J should have been more famous. Okay, this is actually kind of facts though. Like why did one person blow up from this and the other didn't? Where's the gender equality? Black's accidentally making sense about the whole situation, which is weird, but whatever. Good move. White agrees with, he was doing all the work.
This is a strange conversation, I must say. This is literally me VOD reviewing my latest Valorant game when I got an ace on Inferno, but White is probably saying what a lot of people are thinking. Good move. And how do you even measure work in these types of videos anyway? Black then goes full gooner with laying that meat, right? Jesus Christ, dude. White tries to go in on an obvious opening, but miscalculated the elo of this game. He might be using the wrong strategy on the wrong opponent. This phrasing makes it sound like you like men, like Merbert, my neighbor. Mistake. Black has been VOD reviewing the strokes and rhythm on repeat, slow motion, frame by frame. White immediately pumps the brakes with, "Aight bro, I ain't say all that." Equivalent of saying pause, as the youngins would say nowadays. White declines the offense, showing that he wasn't focused on the pipe laying part of the footage like Black was. White resigned after seeing the weird pattern Black was moving at and was not interested in discussing backshot mechanics. Next, White opens with, "I be feeling like a crackhead when I lose my pen, yo." Relatable as hell, honestly, we have all torn apart our entire room looking for a damn pen like our life depends on it. They always disappear when we need them most, just like my dad. I also feel like a crackhead when I lose my pen, but that's because I steal them from my friends and have to ask normal when they ask where the good pens went. The panic you get when you're frantically checking every pocket knowing damn well you probably left it at work or some shit. Book move. Black responds with, "Same, I be having to buy like 3 at a time, lol." Black gets to struggle and does that bulk buying strategy, which actually makes sense. We know what they mean. Black understands you gotta stock up because pens just vanish into thin air constantly, probably the same dimension where all the missing crusty socks end up. Smart strategy, honestly, good move. White drops, same crying face emoji. Mine sell them for 2 for $70. Wait, hold up, what's the actual White just casually mentioned they're selling pens for $35 each, like that's somehow normal pricing. Either these pens are handcrafted by Tech Chess himself, or we're definitely not talking about regular ass Bic pens anymore. That's grocery money right there, and I'm broke as hell, so I know expensive when I see it. Mistake. Black shows interest with, "They must write smooth as hell, might have to cop." Black's still completely thinking about actual writing pens while missing every single red flag. They're probably imagining some sort of fancy German engineering that justifies dropping that much cash. Probably writes on its own. Black's ready to invest in premium innovation. Good move. White drops the reality bomb with, "Right? Question mark, bitch, I'm talking about drugs!" Exclamation point. White just completely flipped Black's innocent worldview faster than my motivation to live disappears on Monday mornings. The miscommunication finally gets exposed and it's just chaos. White was not discussing writing pens this whole time. They're talking about illegal drugs that definitely won't help with homework. Wait, it does a little bit. The whole conversation took a whole hard left turn. Blunder. Black panics with drugs. "Oh baby, I don't do that!" Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Black went from excited customer to absolutely not, faster than I close Discord when my mom walks in. Speaking of Discord, some of these are submitted by my Discord members, link in the description. The multiple question marks sells the genuine shock. Black just learned that their pen obsession doesn't make them street ready, and the "oh baby" really shows how caught off guard they were by this sudden check and resign. Next, White opens with, "I want some more male friends who don't want to Classic opening move from someone tired of who's pretending to be friends. White's basically begging the universe for one normal conversation that doesn't end with an unsolicited sausage flash at 2 a.m. on Insta. I feel this in my soul because it also happens to me a lot. My friends always ask about my feetfinder, which doesn't exist, by the way. Good move. Black hits back with, "Yo," suspicious as hell timing, but could go either way. Black's either about to be normal for once or prove White's point harder than my fist hit the drywall in my apartment after I found out my e-kitten was cheating on me. We're about to find out. Good move, I guess. White demolishes Black with, "You've asked me do it jiggle at least 4 times this week." White just pulls out the seats. With this really solid defense, Black really thought they were slick, but White's been keeping his harassment spreadsheet apparently. 4 times? It's almost once per day of this man asking about jiggle physics every chance he gets. And no, it doesn't jiggle. Stop writing that comment. Don't even think about posting that under this video. Brilliant move. Black goes full degenerate with, "Do it though?" Bro, Black just doubles down. White just called him out and he said, "Yeah, but does it jiggle though?" The Gooner aura is oozing out of Black's pants and dripping down his legs. This is why women chose the bear, little bro. Criminal behavior. If you want me to make it jiggle, like, subscribe, and maybe grab some merch and I'll maybe consider it. Next, White opens with, "She said that she loves cold showers, not that she had a cold shower. If she had a cold shower, she would have said so." White's doing the word police thing where they care more about exact words than what actually happened. This is like when your little brother says, "I didn't hit you, I pushed you," thinking that makes it different. White's being super picky about words while missing the whole point. Book move for being annoying. Black fights back with, even if she does enjoy cold showers, would it not be contradictory for me to say I love mustard and then show you a picture of a bottle of ketchup? Black's making it simple with food example. Like if you say you love pizza but then show a picture of burgers, that's weird, right? Black's trying to use basic logic against White's word games. Good move, that makes sense. White then says, this is an unrelated hypothetical to the dilemma at hand. To engage with such would be engaging with a fallacy. White's using big words to sound smart, but really they just can't answer Black's simple question. This is like when someone asks why you did something dumb and you go, that's not relevant. White's trying to sound like a lawyer but just looks silly. Blunder for avoiding the real question. Black keeps going with, you can't object on the grounds of relevancy here. The principle of both situations is the same. Black's not letting White run away from the question. They're saying, nah bro, answer the question in fancy words. Black standing their ground, which is very smart. Good move. White gets dramatic with, are you claiming my client is a liar? White just started pretending this is a court case and talking about my client like they're a real lawyer. This is like playing pretend but taking it way too seriously. White's getting desperate so they're trying to sound official. Mistake for being extra. Black plays along but better with, I'm simply saying one can see in Exhibit A that she is not above attaching deceptive imagery to her statements. Let the record reflect that you brought upon the word liar. Black decided to play lawyer too, but actually did it better. They used White's own game against them while staying calm. This is like when someone tries to use your own gamut against you and does it much better. Brilliant counter move. White panics with, my client has already stated that she took bath in hot water and then bathed in cold water. White actually pulled some receipts and is now back in the game after being pounded by Black. I also wish I got pounded this hard. Brilliant move. Black brings science with, at no point did she imply that she bathed in hot water. Her statement only implies that her water transitioned from hot to cold. I must say, no shower control system I've ever encountered starts on hot and moves to cold. Black just used shower knowledge to destroy White's proof and defense. Another brilliant counter, back and forth so far. White won't quit it with, you fail to consider the possibility that she took a hot shower, disliked it, and then took a cold shower to make up for it. White's still making up elaborate shower stories with plots and character development. They're writing a whole movie about someone taking 2 showers. The dedication to being wrong is kind of impressive. Mistake for doubling down. White ends it with, if she knows that she loves cold showers, why on earth would she start with a hot shower? Black's asking the most obvious question that destroys White's whole argument. If you love cold water, why would you start with hot? It's like loving ice cream but eating soup first. Black just used common sense to win. Absolute cinema of a checkmate by Black. Next, White opens with, everyone shut the fuck up, I got accepted for a NASA internship. White's announcing what's generally incredible news with the energy of someone who just won an invite to work for Magnus Carlsen. The all caps excitement is completely justified because getting into NASA is harder than my calculus final that I definitely didn't cheat on. White's basically spazzing out on X about achieving one of the most prestigious internships on the planet, and honestly, they deserve to be hype as hell about this. Good move. Black responds with, language. Oh come on, someone just announced that they're gonna work at NASA and Black's worried about swear words. This is like congratulating someone on their wedding, then immediately getting drunk and trying to fistfight the priest because you're miserable and lonely. A complete utter failure. Mistake. White doubles down with, suck my I'm working at NASA. White's not backing down from their celebration just because someone's uncomfortable with cursing. They double down by telling Black to go suck his sausage and meatballs. Good move. Black then drops the nuclear bomb with, and I am on the National Space Council that oversees NASA. Oh, fuck me sideways. Black just revealed they're literally White's future boss, and White just told a government official to suck their wiener. This is the most painful career suicide I'd ever witnessed in real time. White went from celebrating their dream job to accidentally telling their supervisor to glaze their stick in like 3 moves. Black won by checkmate. Next, White opens with, if I had a GF, I would shut my eyes all day and only open them when I'm with her. This is the hopeless romantic gambit. White's trying to sound deep and poetic, but really just admitted he'd rather live in darkness than face reality without a girlfriend. That's not romantic, that's concerning. It isn't that hard, I've never had a girlfriend. You need hobbies, my guy. The confidence to publicly announce you're desperate for love is honestly impressive in the most depressing way possible. Inaccuracy. Black responds with, HMU only if you're like this. Black takes the bait completely. They saw that desperate romantic energy and said, yes, I want the guy who would literally blind himself for love. Black setting themselves up for disappointment because nobody who posts stuff like that actually follows through. They just want the idea of being a devoted boyfriend without doing the actual work. Mistake. White immediately shoots his shot with, hey. The speed on this offense is incredible. White saw an opening and went for it faster than my hairline disappearing after starting this channel. Zero build up, zero game, just straight hey like he's ordering at Jollibee. Bold strategy, but effective. Book move. Black delivers the brutal counter with not you. Absolute cinema. 2 words that actually destroyed White's entire romantic fantasy. Black really said, I want someone like this, not the actual weirdo who posted it. The rejection is so clean and efficient, it's almost beautiful. This is the tech chess equivalent of a scholar's made in reverse. Brilliant move. White desperately tries to recover with, I'm literally the guy in the tweet. The cope is unreal. This gooner really thought pointing out the obvious would somehow change Black's mind. Yes, we know you're the guy from the tweet, that's exactly the problem. White's brain went from, maybe they didn't realize I was the one who posted that cringe, when that was precisely when they got rejected. The lack of self-awareness is genuinely concerning and a blunder. Next, White opens with, MFs who do No Nut November are always the worst coomers ever. White's leading with the projection opening, calling out No Nut November participants while probably being exactly what he's describing. This is like a gooner trying to deflect attention from his own habits by pointing fingers. The confidence to make this statement publicly when you're probably the biggest offender is honestly impressive, and an inaccuracy. Black immediately exposes White with, you came like 7 times a few days ago. Holy shit, Black just dropped very private information. The caps lock and multiple exclamation points shows Black is absolutely done with White's hypocrisy. The specific number makes this even more impressive. 8 times? Jesus, blunder. White tries the blame shifting defense with, that was your fault. HMP. This absolute gooner really tried to blame someone else for his own action. The HMP at the end shows that he thinks he's being cute anime girl while dodging responsibility. White really said you made me do it like he's a toddler who got caught eating cookies before dinner. The audacity is genuinely concerning. Blunder. Black refuses to accept responsibility with, it was you who did it, not me. Black is having a complete meltdown trying to explain basic personal relationships to this crooked individual. The escalating caps lock and exclamation point shows their frustration reaching forced radical levels. Black's really having to explain to a grown man that they can control their own actions. Forced move. Sometimes you have to state the obvious to gooners. White doubles down on the manipulation tactics. Because you kept having me, HMPH. Oh, it all makes sense now. These are e-daters, the worst kind of people you'll ever meet. Blunder. Black tries to end the game with, still not only my fault, HMPH, exclamation point. E-dating and talking about e-sex in public is crazy work. Send both of these to the gooner camps. They shouldn't be out here. You know it, we know it, you all know it. Blunder. Next, White opens with, just got my P8 with ice for the first time, LAWDDDDDD. Nobody wants to hear this shit. Too much information for the public eye. I don't get how people are so comfortable just airing stuff out like this. Inaccuracy. Alexa, how much is 1 bag of ice? Black takes interest with, how was the experience? Alright, this is a little bit of understandable. A lot of people are curious, including me. I would probably ask White too. Is anyone else gonna ask, or is it just me? Good move. White hits back with, wonderful. My N-word can eat. Forced move. I can't even say anything about this, but it must be really wonderful for her to flex it on Twitter. Black closes the game with, I know he had you screaming. I know what kind of man you are. Black likes to watch on the sofa in the corner. Just call him Destiny. He's the reason there's a couch near a hotel bed. Outrageous move. If my videos had you screaming, go click the playlist that's about to pop up. My voice hurts, please.